What's up? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel Sports, Life, and Politics TV. Today is December 7th. I'm Samuel Koppel, and I'm here for the news. In today's topics, we have Deion Sanders, who recently left Jackson State to go to the University of Colorado. He left for HBCU school. We have the LBGT nightclub shooting suspect. He's in court now. We have some RoboCop news coming out of San Francisco. San Francisco board votes down lethal robots for now. We have some political news updates on the Ukraine-Russian war. And we have a special topic and subject segment that I've covered on this channel before called When Animals Attack. I can't even get you out. When animals attack white people. And for some reason, white people tend to get monkey kicked, bit in half by hippopotamuses, stomped by giraffes, twisted up by alligators. I mean, some of them are eaten by bears, raccoons, foxes, wolves. Everything in the natural wildlife tends to find white people. If they're in the ocean, they're eaten by sharks, electrocuted by eels, shot in the chest by stingray. We all remember Irvin from the, I forgot the name of his little show, but he was on the wildlife. And he died, and he got hit in the chest by a stingray or some shit. Shot him with a bar in the chest and killed him. And it happens time and time again. And it's you say you don't understand it, but when you watch these tapes, you figure out exactly why these things are happening. But first, we're going to start off with Deion Sanders, prime time. Prime time, one of the greatest athletes of all time. Prime time is the only person in the history of sports to play in the Super Bowl and the World Series. And I ain't talking about just play and was hanging around and barely was looking and was on the bench. No, he was a starter. And in football, he might have been the best player on the field. And in baseball, he was the best utility player on the field for the Atlanta Braves. I've been rooting for Deion Sanders since he got to Jackson State. If I wasn't able to catch the Jackson State game, I would watch the mashup on YouTube. So I watched every single game that Deion Sanders has had at Jackson State. I'm a Nebraska fan. I've been rooting for Nebraska since the 90s, since they had Tommy Frazier and Lawrence Phillips. And I never had an HBCU school to root for. But when Deion went there, I started rooting for Jackson State. Then I was rooting for the whole HBCU. You know, a lot of people are disappointed that Deion left. Should they have been disappointed? Yeah, I can see that. But should they be mad at him and rooting against him and angry? No. But I'm going to tell you this, Deion ain't completely off the hook on this one. He did make a mistake. In my eyes, it's just my opinion. It's just, you know, a little YouTube channel where you give your opinion. In my opinion, there's one thing Deion did and has been doing that I don't like. And it's starting to rake my nerves a little bit with Deion doing this shit. When Deion first got to Jackson State, he said it was God who told him to go to Jackson State. And that's cool. And he's kept selling that God was going to help him build up the HBCUs. And God was going to do this, that, and the third. Then Deion comes out. And he gets to Colorado and told him God told him to go to Colorado. Now, Deion, goddammit, God ain't told you to go to no damn Colorado. That's the only thing that I don't like about it personally. But Deion has every right to move. What he did was he sold a big dream, like all coaches do. Say a coach like Nick Saban. Nick Saban started out at a small school. I forget the school, but he worked his way up from a small school. When he got there, he sold a bill of dreams about we building something great here and it's going to be long term. And the first chance he got, he took his ass to Michigan State. And he got to Michigan State and said, I'm going to build and I'm going to do this and we're going to be this and we're. And then the first chance he got, he took his ass to LSU. He got to LSU and said he was going to build and we going. And then the first chance he got, he took his ass to the NFL. When that didn't work, the first chance he got out the NFL and ran back to Alabama. So these coaches, Deion Sanders has proven one thing. As much as he yell out, God, he's no different from any other coach. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Just the only thing I don't like about that is the use of God. And nigga, the third eye chakra. I don't know how that came up. Keisha, my wife must be listening to that shit upstairs. But yeah, that's the only thing I don't like about it. But let's take a listen to Deion.
Coach Deion Sanders says he'll be coaching the Tigers through the Celebration Bowl next Saturday in Atlanta. His decision comes after he's faced some criticism from the community. Some have felt betrayed after watching the coach's post on social media of him in gold and black in his visit to Boulder, Colorado.
Congratulations. Thank you. Let me just say this. You've done an amazing job here at Jackson State. You have. And not only JSU, but HBCUs, the SWAC. And I know there's a lot of negative talk about this move.
Did I listen to him before I came?
No, you didn't.
Did I listen to him while I was here?
No.
So you think I'm going to make time in my life to listen to negativity? I'm too positive. I'm too...
Do I think this bothers Deion? 100%. He's a human being. Deion Sanders got to Jackson State, and he did a fantastic job. He really did. He built a powerhouse. He got a 5-star recruit. He was getting 4-star recruits. He was getting a lot of things at Jackson State. I think, speaking for the people who are disappointed in Deion Sanders and what he did, black people can never get what white people got if there's no early sacrifice. You know what I mean? You can't have it where you want HBCUs to be a Alabama, a Michigan, Ohio. You can't build it up because we can't get the talent to stay there long enough. Like a Deion Sanders. Like I said, I'm not blaming Deion. I'm mad at Deion Sanders for leaving, but I'm saying you can't get an NBA if you don't start out with a small league and build it up. Black people want to work within white society, and then when they're in white society and something don't go their way or something's unfair, they want to complain about it instead of trying to build their own. When you build your own, early on, there's not going to be all the financial gains. There's not going to be all the perks, you know, of like the facilities and all that stuff that they have at these major universities. So I think that was part of the disappointment in not having Deion there. You know what I mean? At the HBCU school.
Aggressive to buy into nonsense. I've never had time for it, and I'm not going to make time for it now. Yeah.
Does it bother you?
For what?
Well, considering everything that you've done.
But because if I listen to the negativity, I'm giving that room to have, how can I put this? I'm giving that opportunity to live in my life. I've never been like that. Your opinion of me is not the opinion I have of myself. The opinion I have of myself is mighty, because I know my God and I know what He whispers to me. So
there he is again. And no, don't get me wrong. I believe in God, and we all have our own people who do believe in God. We all have our own personal relationship with God. But sometimes when you listen to Deion talk, he overuses God. God told me to tie my shoes. Deion, stop it. That's a natural reaction. Tie your shoes, they untie. God told me to go right here and turn left and go to this KFC. Get out of here, Deion. Shit.
What you're saying ain't got nothing to do with nothing. It ain't gonna change nothing. Ain't gonna help nothing. Ain't gonna alter nothing. It is just what you say. The problem is social media make people feel like they gotta say so in your life.
You will coach this next game?
Yes, I will. And I'm happy.
Do I feel like I have say-so in Deion's life? Absolutely not. Not one iota, just an opinion. You just give your opinion like everybody else is. Deion Sanders used to be a sports broadcaster, and he gave his opinion. So, you know, when people get in these positions, when they get out of the opinion-giving position and get into the position of being criticized, they tend to say, other people's opinion don't matter. And it doesn't. But we all have one.
I would say it no other way. We had an intimate conversation. You ain't no good. And they know you ain't no good. We had an intimate conversation with the team after the game. I mean, we talked about everything. We talked everything out. I broke it down to them, laid it down to them. And yes, I would have it no other way.
No good.
But am I happy for Deion that he was able to move on to Colorado State? Do I think he'll do good things at Colorado State? I mean, not Colorado State, but the University of Colorado? Absolutely. Absolutely. Deion Sanders is a master recruiter. Like I said, he's one of the greatest athletes in the history of sports. Only guy to play in the World Series and a Super Bowl. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ. I mean, there's nothing Deion Sanders haven't done. He's won championships at the high school level. Now he's won championships at the HBCU level. Now he's headed on to Colorado. Is Colorado a stepping stone to something bigger? Absolutely. 3 years, if he can win a Pac-12 championship, Deion Sanders will be at Florida State, Alabama, or whatever school that's open, that's next, that's big. Deion Sanders will be there. So you can book that. I wouldn't be surprised if Deion Sanders was the next Texas Longhorns coach or some shit like that. Believe you me, Colorado is a stepping stone. Deion Sanders will be able to recruit at Colorado. I'm rooting for Deion, but you know, people are disappointed, and you can understand why. Black people want to try to build something for themselves, too. And they was hoping Deion would be part of it and help them do it. Did Deion help the HBCUs? A little bit, but, you know, it takes more time. It takes about 10 years, 15 years to really dig in. Yeah. But Deion was offered $6 million. He was making $300,000. So, you know what I mean? His name was Prime Time. Must be the money that's turning me on. So, you know, good luck to Deion at University of Colorado. Next subject we got, I'm talking about school. Next segment we got is a suspect formerly charged in the LBGT nightclub shooting in Colorado. Back to Colorado, right where Deion's at.
The suspect accused of a mass shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado is facing more than 300 felony charges. Anderson Lee Aldrich appeared in court today. The counts include murder, attempted murder, and hate crime. And I should have pulled up the video, but the other video, it says that this guy seen himself as a pronoun. Them, there, some shit. You know how the pronouns is. That shit get wacky as hell. But yeah, he seen himself as a pronoun. And I predicted in a video weeks ago, I said this man is part of the LGBT community. How did I know that? Because it took them days to even show the man picture, and they knew exactly who he was and who did it. So it took them a long time to even put the man picture up there. They wanted to try to paint the narrative and make it like it was just a random mass shootings. Like I've said before, a lot of, not all, but a lot of mass shootings that happen in the gay community, a lot of times it come from other people who are also gay. That's not every time, but we know the last one that happened in Orlando, the dude was a homosexual. So, you know, so was this what you call a hate crime? Yes and no. It's, you know, it's tricky. If he's part of that community, I don't know how. That's like saying it's a hate crime if a black man go and kill somebody. I don't know. Is that a hate crime? Yeah, hateful, but it's not a hate crime by the letter of the law. Prosecutors say the 22-year-old entered Club Q in Colorado Springs with an assault rifle and a handgun, killing 5 people.
And it's always an AR-15, and it's always a handgun. Every single time. And like I said in every video, the reason why it's an AR-15 is because they want to get these AR-15s out of people's hands. Is every mass shooting orchestrated? No. Are there mass shootings that's orchestrated? 1,000%.
Injuring at least 19. District Attorney Michael Allen said that the hundreds of counts in the case are meant to send a message.
They got hundreds of counts? Damn, what about the Buffalo shooter? You know what, my next video, I'm going to go to the Buffalo shooter and see how many counts he got. Because they just said it's hundreds of counts. Let's listen to that again. I didn't catch that before.
Rifle and a handgun, killing 5 people and injuring at least 19. District Attorney Michael Allen said that the hundreds of counts in the case are meant to send a message.
We're not going to tolerate actions against community members based on their sexual identity, and so it's important that we talk about that as well.
Well, ain't that about a bitch? How they get hundreds of counts on a person who's part of the community? And we had a white boy come into Buffalo to the Tops supermarket and start gunning people down. I can't wait to cover the next video. We're going to see how many counts. They just said hundreds. They're going to bury this dude, and obviously this dude is mentally challenged. You can look at this dude's face.
The DA says if convicted, Aldrich.
And look at his flat head in the back. I don't know if he even got a brain in there. Look at that mashed potato. Look at this meatball head, motherfucker. This man, that's why I say a lot of this stuff be orchestrated. I ain't saying factually. That's alleged. But,
You look at these cases, and all of a sudden they start talking about you want hundreds of counts, and they want to start changing laws, and so we'll see where it goes. But I'm most definitely gonna pull up that Buffalo shooter.
Faces life in prison.
Go to the next video. You know, when I was younger, me and my cousin Brian, we used to have a movie we used to love. It was called RoboCop. And a man in the movie died. His name was Murphy. I'll never forget Murphy. Murphy became RoboCop. He blew his arm off and blew his damn head off. And in that movie, the whole movie was based on predictive programming of what's eventually coming. I always say this, in movies and TV shows, they tell the truth, and on news, they tend to lie, exaggerate, mislead, and do a lot of other things to throw you off. And they'll sprinkle the truth in there, here and there. The best way to tell a lie is to mix it with the truth. And that's what they do on the news on the lie. But in the movies, they be dead on point. They had RoboCop 1, 2, and 3. And then they had a newer RoboCop that came out, I think, well, maybe about 10 years ago. And in that movie, them robots had become police officers. And they began where the robot can kill people. So in San Francisco, they're voting on this now. I remember the shooter in Dallas, they killed him with a robot. They took had a robot roll his funky ass in there and had some C4 and told the man it was a bottle of water. And blew his ass to smithereens. Let's take a look.
These are the kinds of police robots that are currently being debated. They have treads and awkward-looking arms with pincher claws. Police department bomb squads often use them to defuse or examine potential explosives. The question now is whether San Francisco police should ever be allowed to use one of its dozen or so similar type robots to deliver an explosive and potentially kill a suspect.
And we also know overseas they're already using robots and them type of same robots with guns and shit on them. And obviously they have unmanned drone, predator drones with all type of cruise missiles and shit on top of, Tomahawk missiles and all type of missiles and shit hooked on Hellfires and shit where they're using these unmanned drones to kill people. So it's only a matter of time before it comes home. Like Michael Beck said, the chickens will come home to roost. Eventually it'll be right there at your doorstep. We're going to have robots delivering our packages, and we have robots delivering fucking bombs and guns. If your ass get out of line.
Within the last few hours, the Board of Supervisors appeared to change course and decided that, for now, the San Francisco police cannot use their robots to deliver lethal force. The Board of Supervisors removed the language of robots and lethal force in order to allow the San Francisco Police Department to continue using its current robots to defuse bombs and comply with state law. It sent the issue of robots and lethal force to be considered by committee again. There was not an opportunity for public comment, but some people did hold an impromptu protest inside supervisors' chambers.
The concerns are, this would be the first time that the city and county of San Francisco is saying to the police department, you can use robots to kill people. That is an alarming position for our city to take.
Supervisor Dean Preston has become one of the robot's most vocal opponents. Yesterday, he led a rally at City Hall to bring more attention to the issue. Supervisor Matt Dorsey is among those who still support the measure.
I don't believe that San Francisco should be the first municipality in California to prohibit the use of these devices if, God forbid, there were a mass casualty event or terrorist incident.
He points to one such incident, Dallas 2016.
There it is.
In an elevated parking garage killed 5 police officers, injured several others, and 2 bystanders. After a 45-minute gun battle and 2 hours of negotiations, the police chief gave the green light to use a department robot to deliver a brick of C4 explosive, killing the shooter. According to the San Francisco police, commanders would only consider using a robot under similar extraordinary circumstances, and only the police chief, an assistant chief, or deputy chief could approve of such a plan. Supervisor Raphael Mandelman sat on the committee that drafted this measure over the last several months. He still supports it.
I think we did put some guardrails in place for technology that no one thinks is likely to get used regularly.
He will be on that.
Well, Negro Dominus prediction time. What's going to happen is, in California, New York, those type of super liberal places, first, there's going to be enough mass casualty events to where they'll eventually be able to pass the law. Will these mass casualty events be orchestrated? You tell me. What does it say? San Francisco board votes down lethal robots. For now. Sports, life, politics, TV. Oh, man. Some of this shit is so obvious. Golly. RoboCop coming to a city near you. Well, we have the Georgia Senate state remains blue. They had a runoff because the initial votes were so close between Warnock and Herschel Walker. You have Herschel Walker, who was running for Senate against Warnock, who was already a senator. And it became Herschel Walker was running against Barack Obama somehow. Warnock was became such a bad candidate that he couldn't be the man who can barely speak English. Now, if mush mouth is a second language, then Herschel Walker has that shit down packed. We know Herschel Walker has a problem putting a full sentence together and still almost beat Warnock. Now, Barack Obama came in. They were so desperate and so close to losing the Senate because they already lost the House, which is Congress. They were so desperate that they brought in Barack Obama. We know Barack Obama has natural charm and charisma. He's a great speaker. He's very articulate. He's funny. He has great political timing when he's talking. He stands tall when he's at the podium. He has a lot of positive attributes when it comes to politics. He's one of the best to ever do it when it comes to actually speaking and getting his point across and speaking clearly where people can understand him and feel him and, want to vote for him. Do I agree with all his policies? Absolutely not. But he is one hell of a politician. Let's take a small little gander at this.
Warnock pushing back a challenge from political newcomer Herschel Walker.
You have put in the hard work, and here we are standing together.
The crucial Georgia runoff race for the Senate seat, fiercely contested throughout the midterm season, going down to the wire. ABC's congressional correspondent Rachel Scott is in Atlanta at Warnock headquarters where they are celebrating. Rachel? Georgia.
And they're extremely happy because they still have control of the Senate. And they needed control of the Senate desperately to keep the agendas that they're trying to keep pushing going forward. Because if the Republicans have the House and the Senate, well, I don't think they was able to get the Senate, but if they would have had one less senator, that it would have been harder to pass votes for them through the Senate. Because the Congress is going to be tied up. They're not going to get nothing through Congress. So when the senators vote on that, it's going to be tough. It's still going to be a bunch of locked up votes and stuff that never gets done. It's supposed to get done for the country, because you have one that has the Senate and the other one will have the House, and then we still have a presidential election coming up here soon. So I don't know. I don't know what Herschel Walker was going to do in there. Obviously, he was going to be a puppet for the Republicans. He'd have been a rookie senator. It'd have been hard for him to really, I don't know. Herschel Walker for Warnock to lose to Herschel almost lose to Herschel is just unbelievable to me. He was just such a bad candidate. But for the Democrats, this is a huge win. They got to be extremely happy. And lucky Obama came in there and won this election. I ain't even going to watch this because do I care? Yeah, a little bit, but I'm going to move on to Russia blaming Ukraine for deadly drone attacks. And I've said this, covering this. This is one of the first things I started to cover on this channel was the Russia-Ukraine war. And I told you why this war started. It has nothing to do with freedom and Ukrainian independence. It had everything to do with Russia and the United States. And the United States want to set up all their missile defense and strategic bombs and bombers and being able to attack Russia right at their doorstep, as Ukraine and Russia are on the same border. They share a border. And Russia will never give up on this. Russia will never stop fighting this. Russia, there's no way they're going to let the Ukraine ever become part of the EU or ever be part of the UN, where basically they're direct allies with the United States. It's just not going to happen. But let's take a look at what's going on in the Ukraine-Russian war.
Russia suspects Ukrainian drones were busy again today, deep in Russian territory, attacking an airbase and setting a fuel depot ablaze. The aftermath was plastered across Russian TV. The public told Russia is under attack. Russia accused Ukraine of deadly drone attacks on 2 air bases yesterday. A satellite image showing the aftermath. Ukraine did not claim responsibility. Russia responded with a volley of missiles, further crippling Ukraine's power grid. Ukrainian President Zelensky today, visiting troops in the east, told them victory is coming. But Ukraine is being battered. There are rolling power cuts amid a particularly harsh winter. The cold is harming the poorest and most vulnerable. In Kherson, the hospital.
And we know Russia, when they fought against Germany in World War II, and when they fought Napoleon in the 1700s, one of the biggest things and one of the hardest things to, one of the biggest reasons it's hard to defeat Russia is the winter. Russia has kicked more ass when that winter time came. They had a battle in a city called Stalingrad during World War II. That winter kicked the Nazis dead in their ass. It severed their supply lines, and they had record freezing temperatures just so happened that year, and it basically destroyed them. The same thing happened to Napoleon. He left holding his ass because the Russian winters is no joke. And the Ukraine, if they can stomp your ass out and choke you out by using this winter, they will. They're going to keep hitting the fuel depots. They're going to keep hitting the electrical grid. They're going to keep hitting that shit until you fold or surrender.
Well, has no electricity. Victoria is taking her son Kirill for a checkup. He has cerebral palsy and other conditions, including dystonia and seizures. They have no power or heat at home, and now the boy, underweight, has a fever. Every day we fear what will happen tomorrow, she says. We can't sleep peacefully because of the explosions, and neither can Kirill. We have been without water and electricity for 3 weeks. It's hard. Of course it's hard.
Russia is using the cold here as a weapon. It's an ancient tactic in this part of the world to force submission. But now there's the very modern addition of drones flying hundreds of miles into Russia.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, them drones are serious. You see, they're worldwide. Every country has them now. There will be robot wars here soon. All these movies we've been watching since we were kids. Now we know it's coming. Deputy fatally shoots roommate in dumb accident. Now, it's funny how they word this, dumb accident. But let's take a listen.
The incident occurred in Palm Bay, and the investigation was fully and independently conducted by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the Palm Bay Police Department. What we know at this point is that during the early morning hours on Saturday, the Palm Bay Police Department received a 911 call from off-duty deputy Andrew Lawson, who reported that he had accidentally shot his roommate and needed help. When officers from Palm Bay PD arrived, they were met by off-duty deputy Andrew Lawson, who was fully distraught and devastated. Officers discovered off-duty deputy Austin Walsh inside the residence, where he'd apparently succumbed immediately as a result of a single gunshot wound. Lawson was fully cooperative in the investigation that revealed he and Austin had taken a break from playing an online game with a number of their friends and were just kind of standing around talking. Lawson was holding a handgun, which he believed he had unloaded, and at one point in their conversation, Lawson, thinking that the gun was unloaded, jokingly pointed the gun in Austin's direction and pulled the trigger.
Let me ask y'all a question. Since when, ever, in the history of mankind, can you jokingly point a gun at somebody and pull the trigger? You can jokingly point it. You can't jokingly pull the trigger. Under what circumstances would make a motherfucker do that? At bare minimum, that's negligence. He should be in jail for assault with a deadly weapon. But the way this white man get on here and cape for each other, it never ceases to amaze me. But let's listen to him one more time. And he know he's supposed to say you some bullshit.
He had unloaded, and at one point in their conversation, Lawson, thinking that the gun was unloaded, jokingly pointed the gun in Austin's direction and pulled the trigger. According to the investigation, a single round was fired that struck Austin, taking his life. Andrew immediately called 911 to summon help for Austin, but unfortunately, the single round was a fatal shot. Austin and Andrew.
So he killed his friend accidentally by aiming a gun at him and pulling the trigger. And you're selling us this bullshit. Deputy Doodippy. I mean, these sheriffs, boy, these motherfuckers, boy, the corruption in some of these sheriff's offices, buddy.
Andrew were the best of friends, and Andrew is completely devastated over what happened. Even with that, there is no excuse for this tragic and totally avoidable death. And as a result, earlier today, Andrew Lawson was taken into custody on a no-bond warrant by agents from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for manslaughter with a firearm. As per the instructions of the warrant, Andrew was transported to the Brevard County Jail, and the case will progress from there.
From the way they worded this, he's going to get the bare minimum sentence. I'm going to keep track of this case, and when they finally do show what happened, I'm going to bring you back to this. Because how they word this shit on ABC News matters. Deputy fatally shoots roommate in dumb, in quotes, accident. It didn't say ridiculous negligence. Or manslaughter. Anything. But look how they worded it. That's how I know it's going to be some bullshit. It really is. I got another video. I got a little segment called When Animals Attack White People. I've done 2 different segments on it. I think I'm going to make that separately, y'all. But I'm going to do one more video, last little segment of the day. Pentagon unveils new stealth bomber plane. But I got another video I'm going to do right after I cut this one off. I'm going to release this one probably tomorrow. This one will come out here right today. But this other one will come out tomorrow. Because white people tend to get everything that can go wrong with the white man. It's like he got a magnet in his ass, an animal bite magnet in his ass. And animals continuously tear their ass up. I don't care if it's a mountain lion, it's a goddamn bear, it's a coyote, it's a wolf, it's an alligator, a crocodile twisting him like a washing machine, a deer rattling his cage with his motherfucking antlers. He's getting raked across the coast, he's getting stampeded by elephants. Any way a white man can get toe up. He go into the ocean, the shark is on his ass, the electric eel is on his ass, the jellyfish is stinging him, everything tears his ass up. I don't know what it is, but do I think Mother Nature hates the white man? No. Do I think the white man respects Mother Nature? Absolutely not. But let's take a look at the last video of the day. Pentagon unveils new stealth bomber plane.
The unveiling came against the backdrop of the California night sky. The new B21 bomber looks a bit like a stingray, with sleek bat-like wings, but it's designed not to be seen.
And the white man better watch out for that motherfucker sting his ass. God damn it, if he was named after an animal, that shit'll bite the white man.
It incorporates half
And white woman.
a century of advances in stealth technology, capable of precision nuclear or conventional strikes anywhere in the world. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on hand for the big reveal at an Air Force site near Los Angeles.
Even the most sophisticated air defense systems will struggle to detect the B-21 in the sky.
It's the first new American bomber in more than 30 years, as the Pentagon works to modernize all 3 legs of the U.S. nuclear triad, the ability to launch a nuclear strike from land, sea, or air. Northrop Grumman touting the B-21's long range and advanced computing power, calling it...
I remember when they had the first, I think it was the B-52 stealth bomber, if I'm not mistaken, When that first came out, that was so exciting. I remember that shit. Like I've probably said this before, but probably some months back. But I used to love to collect them Desert Storm cards, them Ghost Storm. What was it? Was it Desert? Yeah, Desert Storm cards. And they used to have an Abrams tank, the Apache helicopter. They would have all these different nuclear subs or these fucking battleships and aircraft carriers. And oh man, they had all type of shit on there. And they had these stealth bombers. And that's when people was seeing this shit here. Because I stay in Vegas now. Here in Vegas, people seeing this shit in the sky in the 80s. They thought that shit was alien technology. And come to find out, it was our shit. So a lot of this shit you see in the sky, don't be surprised it ain't American shit. You know, a lot of that shit ain't aliens. A lot of that shit is explainable.
A digital bomber.
The world has never seen technology like the B21.
The bomber was unveiled under cover of darkness in a closely controlled event, giving the public a glimpse without revealing highly classified secrets, which the Pentagon hopes will give the U.S. an edge in its growing military rivalry with China, as the Defense Department warns Beijing is rapidly expanding its own nuclear arsenal. 6 of the new bombers are currently in production, but the military has said it plans to order at least 100 in all. The first test flight is expected next year. The B-21 Raider, named after the Doolittle Raiders from World War II, whose surprise attack on Japan after Pearl Harbor helped restore America's military morale.
This isn't just another airplane. It's the embodiment of America's determination, and it's a testament to our strategy of deterrence with the capabilities to back it up.
And Josh Letterman joins us now from the White House. Josh, what do these bombers cost?
Well, the Air Force has estimated each one would cost $692 million, but inflation is clearly going to affect those costs. And so the final price per plane is likely to be well over $700 million.
Basically $1 billion per plane. I mean, the amount of money America has to waste on bullshit. I ain't saying these stealth bombers are bullshit, but do we actually need 100 of these motherfuckers? No, we do not need 100 nuclear stealth bombers. Well, there's no way we need that. We have too many submarines. We have too many ships. We have too many land-based nuclear options. We have all this shit. But they spend this money on this shit, and we have people hungry. Like, that's some of that shit. I mean, this has become a real wicked society, you guys. It really has. You know, but I got another video coming soon when animals attack white people. Stay tuned for that, y'all. I appreciate you guys tuning in, man. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. I just took your ass on another sports, life, and politics TV ride.